My name is Emily. I have a fiance who is 2 years younger than me. His name is Michael. Michael is 2 years younger than me and used to be my junior at the same company. He's a bit absent-minded and, to be honest, I was better at our job than he was. However, Michael somehow has this charm that captures people's hearts. He was very well liked by our seniors and bosses, and I was one of the people drawn to him. We didn't exactly confess our feelings to each other. It was more like we just started dating somehow, and pretty early on, we began to consider marriage. At the time, I was in my late 20s, and Michael was 2 years younger. We had been dating for about 3 months, so thinking back, it might have been early to think about marriage. Michael is the type to act on impulse without overthinking things. Now that I think about it, he never really proposed properly. Looking back, it was a once-in-a-lifetime moment, and I wish he had done a proper proposal. So, we ended up deciding to get married, greeted each other's parents, and since I wasn't planning to quit my job after marriage, we looked for and signed a lease for an apartment near a company to move in together after the wedding. But I never expected things to turn out like that.
It's tough for us if both of you take time off during a busy period, but it's a once in a lifetime event. Go and enjoy yourselves.
We had applied for leave for our wedding and honeymoon from our manager. Mr. Dan will be leaving ahead.
Don't say unnecessary things.
Our manager is still single in his late 30s. As for the wedding preparations, they were moving along steadily, but as the preparations progressed, Michael started acting strangely. He was spaced out no matter what I asked, and it felt like I was making all the decisions.
During her outfit fitting, he said, I'm fine with anything, and once he put on a suit and that was it. So our wedding planner was also troubled.
Our guest list had only relatives' names, no friends, and not a single person from work. So I hurriedly added some work-related people to my side of the guest list. I thought it might be pre-wedding jitters, and I assumed that just before the ceremony, Michael would return to his usual self. But Michael was actually struggling with something completely different. The day before our wedding, my parents, who live in the countryside, came to visit, and in a gesture of filial piety, Michael stayed at his parents' place, and I stayed at the hotel with my parents. We shared drinks, and my dad almost cried. It was a really lovely night. But the next morning, I received a call from Michael's dad that dropped me into despair.
Hello, Emily. Has Michael come over to you?
No, he hasn't.
When we woke up this morning, Michael was gone. He's not at the wedding venue either.
What about his cell phone?
Of course, I can't get through. I've sent him multiple emails. According to Michael's dad, last night Michael had drinks with his family just like we did, and during that time, he murmured a few times, Is this really okay? I feel like it's too early to get married.
His dad thought it was just pre-wedding jitters and tried to reassure him, saying,
What are you talking about? Pre-wedding jitters? Emily is a wonderful person. She's too good for you. After that, Michael's parents and Michael stayed in the same room, and when they woke up in the morning, he was gone.
Hearing that, I tried calling Michael's phone, but as his dad said, I couldn't get through. And I can't begin to describe how desperate I felt then. Our parents were all stirred up like a disturbed beehive. First, we had to cancel the wedding venue. Then contact each guest one by one, pay for the travel expenses of those who had come from afar, and cancel our honeymoon trip with the travel agency. I didn't even have time for breakfast. Then, our manager contacted me.
Hello. I can't get through to Michael, Emily. Is he nearby?
Actually, Michael has gone missing. I wondered how many times I had said those words that day.
Missing? What is he thinking?
The manager was louder than usual.
I was supposed to go to the office just for the morning and then attend your wedding in the afternoon. I just checked the company email, and there's a resignation letter from Michael.
A resignation letter?
It says he's resigning due to personal reasons. Do you know anything about this?
As much as they asked, I wanted to know the same. Michael didn't come back that day, nor the next, nor the day after. The wedding ceremony and the honeymoon trip that were canceled on the day of the event were both subject to cancellation fees. Michael's dad paid for the wedding, and I paid for the honeymoon. And so, I ended up waiting for Michael's return in the apartment we were supposed to live in together, surrounded by unpacked boxes. I called the manager to see what to do about work.
Things must be hectic for you. You're approved for leave, so just take it easy.
The manager kindly said. So I spent the honeymoon period just unpacking. Michael's parents filed a missing persons report with the police, and after the honeymoon period ended, I returned to work, but Michael didn't come back. At the company, rumors spread quickly about Michael's sudden resignation, and I could tell everyone was trying to be careful around me. Then, the next month, the apartment we were supposed to live in together started to feel too big, and Michael's belongings were still in boxes. Just when I was thinking about looking for a new place to live by myself, I got an unexpected call from my Phil.
Emily, Michael's back.
Really? I was so surprised. I felt like I floated about 3 inches off the ground.
He's back, but
I immediately noticed the unease in my FIL's voice, more confusion than joy.
can you come over right away? Michael wants to see you.
I wondered why he wouldn't call me himself if he wanted to see me, but I headed to my in-laws' place regardless. Upon arrival, my mill greeted me.
Long time no see, Emily. Since the wedding, right?
She tried to act as usual, but I could tell she was also bewildered. Then, when she slid open the door, I saw why Michael's parents were puzzled. Michael was incredibly tanned, his beard was unkempt and bushy, and his clothes were tattered. I barely recognized him.
Emily, long time no see.
As soon as Michael saw me, he shouted and started to walk towards me, attempting to hug me, but I instinctively pulled back. That's because a foreigner was sitting next to him. Wait, Michael, who's this? Then the foreigner spoke to me in English.
Nice to meet you, Emily. I'm Ben.
Oh, Ben, your English is quite good. But that's not the point. I confronted Michael.
Ben and I became friends in Africa. He speaks English, and I was so happy about it.
Africa?
My mother is American. My father is from Senegal.
I see, you're mixed. Michael, were you in Africa? Then Michael's eyes sparkled as he responded.
More like traveling the world. And I thought, how insignificant I am. The world is vast. Opportunities are everywhere. Being a salaryman isn't for me. I need to look beyond that.
Yo, that sounds nice and all, but you skipped our wedding.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
It's not small. Do you know how much the cancellation fees were?
Both of you, calm down.
Ben, you be quiet. I was getting increasingly frustrated because of Michael and Ben. And you quit your job just with an email, didn't you?
I'm done being a cog in the organization. I'm starting a business with Ben.
Starting a business?
Yes, we'll import and sell African accessories. I'm not meant to end as just a salaryman. This is my path. Let's do our best, Michael.
Michael and Ben were getting all excited by themselves.
So, I'm going to live here with Ben. Emily, you'll live with us too, right?
I was shocked by Michael's statement, and so were his parents.
What are you suddenly talking about?
Yeah, we have an apartment we were supposed to live in together. What about that place? Your stuff is still there.
We'll just cancel it. 3 of us can't live there, so take care.
I was thinking, that's not okay, when my Phil intervened.
Michael, I paid the full amount for your wedding cancellation. Emily paid for the honeymoon cancellation. It wasn't cheap. How do you plan to repay that? Be a man and settle your responsibilities.
Without hesitation, Michael responded.
Of course, I'll pay everything back once the business takes off. I'm the CEO, and Ben's the coup. We decided on the way back to Japan. I'm the CEO. I can easily pay back the cancellation fees.
That's when I finally realized, he's a total klutz. I felt my feelings for Michael ebbing away like the tide. Michael, already acting like a CEO, started giving us orders.
Ben is going to live here too, so Mom and Emily, please take good care of him. Also, We're heading back to Africa next week. Arrange 2 airline tickets for us, will you?
That's when all my pent-up frustration exploded. This is a joke, right? I don't want to live in this house, let alone with you. Do you have any idea how lonely I've been in that apartment? I'm breaking up with you. Go start your business or whatever on your own. Then Michael got angry too.
You don't have to reject me so completely. We're married, aren't we? It's only natural for a wife to support her husband's endeavors.
Faced with Michael's anger, I revealed a shocking truth to him. We're not married. We never filed the marriage certificate. Michael was momentarily speechless.
What? Why? I told you to file it the day after the wedding.
How could I? You disappeared suddenly. Of course, I wouldn't file it.
Then go file it tomorrow.
No, I won't. I'm not marrying you.
Enough with your nonsense.
Michael lunged at me, but Ben and Myphil held him back.
Fighting is not allowed.
Emily, run away now.
Nodding, I dashed out of my in-law's house and prepared to escape from Michael. After running away from my in-law's place, the first thing I did was look for a hotel to stay in for the night. Since Michael probably had a spare key to the apartment I was living in, I stopped by to grab some essentials and decided to live in a hotel for a while. During that time, I looked for a new apartment I could live in by myself and started the process of canceling my current lease. Michael's mother kept me updated on his movements through messages and apparently hid my apartment key, preventing Michael from waiting there for me. Since I was already searching for a new place to live alone, finding an apartment was quick. I relied on messages from Michael's mother to sneak back to my apartment when Michael was busy with Ben, preparing for their business. But I didn't want to trouble my company, so I talked to my manager, who was very understanding.
Let's increase the work you can do remotely.
He arranged for me to work mostly from the hotel without going to the office, buying me time to move safely. Of course, I didn't tell Michael my new address. I moved farther from work, but safety is irreplaceable. After moving, Michael began to contact me through calls and messages.
I finally got a cell phone. Where are you now?
Of course, I ignored and blocked those messages, and I blocked his incessant calls too. Months passed, and thinking it was safe, my manager and I gradually increased my days at the office. One day, there was an important meeting, and I had arrived at work in the morning. As I sat at my desk, someone was standing nearby. It was Michael, cleanly shaven and dressed in a suit. Probably he dressed properly to avoid being stopped by security.
Emily. Long time no see.
Michael, a stark contrast to his return, smiled creepily, leaving me speechless and frozen, feeling like I was encountering a harasser.
Ben. He took all the money and went back to Africa. That guy, he was a scammer.
Michael's face was filled with despair, and I couldn't take my eyes off him to call for help.
Emily, help me, please?
That was the moment when Michael stepped towards me. My manager stepped in between us and stopped him.
Michael, what are you doing?
Stopped by his former boss, Michael was surprised.
You're no longer part of this place. Leave now.
Finally, others started to notice Michael.
Security. Can someone call security?
Following the manager's request, someone fetched security, and Michael was escorted out of the building. Later, Michael was taken to the police, but he hadn't actually done anything, and it ended with a stern warning from the police. However, he was severely reprimanded by his father at home.
Stay away from Emily forever.
He was forced to sign a promise not to approach me and to repay the wedding cancellation fees. Additionally, it turned out Michael had borrowed money from various sources for his startup, which Ben ran off with. His father managed to cover this too, and Michael had to sign a promise to repay that as well. Under his parents' supervision, Michael started doing manual labor, working day and night. Finally, I can relax and return to my regular work life. I decided to treat my manager to a meal as thanks for his help. Not that I'm sensing a new romance or anything, but I'm done with men who just chase dreams. If I were to date again, maybe someone older and more stable would be nice, I find myself thinking.